I have a folder full of CSV files showing who attended Zoom sessions, and I want to combine them into one. So I could open all of these files, copy and paste everything out, and add them into a new one. But there is so much better way using Excel Power Query, and it will do it automatically. And when you add new files to the folder, you can click one button to refresh your main data set with all of that data. Let's take a look how. To start this process, I am actually going to open up a new Excel file. I'm not going to open up any of my existing files. So I'm going to go ahead and find Excel on my computer. And as a note, this function only works in Excel for Windows right now. So now that I have a new sheet open, I'm actually going to start off by saving it so we know for sure where this is and what this is called. I'm going to save it as main participant data set. So all of my data is going to go here. All right, so now let's get the data we're going to save into this. We're going to do that by clicking on the Data tab, and then we're going to use the Get Data tool from File, and we're going to choose From Folder. And again, From Folder is only an option in Excel for Windows. Now that we've done that, we'll navigate to the file folder that has all the files I want, and I have this Zoom Files to Process folder. I'll select it and click Open. And now I'm going to see a little bit about the content in this folder. So it's found 3 files, 2 CSV files and 1 Excel file. Now, I only want to combine the CSV files. This Excel file is different information. So I need to actually set up some rules for which files from this folder to use. So I'm going to click Transform. And now it's going to open the Power Query Editor tool. To start off, in this tool, there's a couple things to notice. Near the top left corner, you'll see there are a few tabs across the top, and each of these tabs has different tools and functions you can do, cleaning and combining and working with your data. In the left-hand side is a list of all of the queries, which is basically an ask of your data. Right now, we just have one because we've pulled in the files from the folder and they're kind of combined in this one. And then on the right-hand side are the steps that we're applying. So in Power Query, there's no undo, no such thing as Control C and Command Z. If you want to undo a step, you have to remove it from your applied steps. So as I mentioned, we want to set up some rules, which files from this folder we want to include. So in this case, all we have to do is put a rule on the extension column. To do that, I'm going to click the drop down in that column name. And I want to put in a text filter. I want to only bring in the files that equal .csv, the extension type. So I'm going to choose text filters equals, and then in the toolbar that opens, I'm going to say I want to keep the rows where extension equals .csv. Everything else it will clean out of my data. So I'll click OK, and then I'll see that one Excel file there doesn't appear anymore. And on the right-hand side under my steps, I'll see that filtered rows rule. Now, as I mentioned, if I want to undo that, there's no Control Z. I would have to click on the X to remove this filtered row. Or if there is a settings gear, I could click on that gear to check out parameters or what was set up in this particular step. All right, I don't need to make any changes, so I'll click cancel. So now that we've set up that rule, in this case, we don't need any other rules, and we'll go ahead and combine them. Now, there's a couple ways to do this. When I select a cell in this first column called content, the binary basically means that file content. So when I select a cell there, in the Home tab toward the right, I'll see the Combine Files as an option, and I can click this button here, or I'll see that this button is also in the side of this content column. So I'm going to click one of those Combine Files buttons and then watch the queries list on the left, and you'll see a bunch of stuff appear as Power Query is creating the rules to merge these files for us. The first thing it does is pull one of the files from that folder, the first file, and it's saying, okay, is this what you want me to use to kind of make the rules to combine these? And in order for this tool to work, all of the files have to be the same format. So in other words, they have to be all the same CSV or whatever one standard type, and they have to have the same columns. They don't have to be in the same order, but they do have to have the same columns. So this is an model of what my data looks like. So yes, I'm going to say, okay, this is the type of file I'll be working with. And now as we watch the list on the left, we have a whole bunch of queries now that Power Query created for us to help us combine our data. Now that we've combined our files, the files from that folder, there's a little bit more cleaning I want to do here. My goal in combining this data is so I can find out who or how many people are attending my sessions. So in order to do that, I really need real names and real email addresses. And I can see that in one of these rows, it looks like an AI agent. I don't want to include those in my data set, so I'm going to clean that out. So there are many cleaning tools in this program, but in this case, when I want to remove empty rows, I'm going to go to the column where I want to look for the empties, in this case, the email column, click the drop down by the name of that column, and I'm going to click remove empty. Anytime there's a new file added into this query, it's going to do the same cleaning to them. So I'll click on remove empty, and now that row is gone. And you'll see on the right-hand side, a whole bunch of steps have been added automatically by Power Query, plus the one I just added to filter that empty row. The other thing I want to do is I want to make sure I have a column that shows the date of the session. I have a join time and a leave time, but these have a lot of different discrete values in them. So I want to add one that just pulls the date for each row. And there's a really cool way to do this. I'm going to select the join time column. And then, as I mentioned, there's a bunch of tabs in the top left that help you do things with your data. So if I choose the transform column, this is going to transform whatever I've selected in place. However, the add column one is going to add a column and apply the transformation to that column. So I want both columns. I want my join time column, and I also want a column with just the date. So I'm going to choose add column. And then there's a drop down here that says date, and I want to select date only. So this is going to add a column all the way to the right that pulls just the date portion. Now, of course, this only works because this is a date column. So when I click date only, and it's brought me to the right-hand side, now I have just the date for my sessions there. And my join time column is still there as it originally was. Some other things I'll point out that you could do, let's say that your name column had different cases in it. Maybe there was some uppercase, all lowercase, mixes in there. So if I wanted to make sure these were all proper case, I could use a tool in Power Query to do that cleaning step. So in this case, I don't want to add a column. I just want to transform the existing column. So I'm going to choose the Transform tab, and then halfway across, there is a Format tool that lets me choose some automatic cleaning of text like this. So in this case, I want to make sure my names are proper case, so I'm going to choose capitalize each word. And again, it's going to apply this rule every time a new file is added. All right, there's a whole lot of other cleaning you could do, but for now we're going to leave it like this and go ahead and put this data in our sheet that we saved, that main participant dataset sheet. And that's going to be in the Home tab, and you're going to click on Close and Load. And we'll give it a moment here, and what you'll see is a table in a sheet that's named after the folder that you chose to query from with all the data from the files. Now, this is really cool, but this gets even cooler because when I add files to that folder, I can click on refresh and get all the new data cleaned and added up just like we did it with a new date column, all of the empty emails removed automatically. So let's give it a try. I'm going to go back to my folder where I had those files. And if I go up a level, I have some more files here. I have some Excel files and some CSV files. So I'm just going to grab a couple of these and put them into my Zoom files to process folder. In my data set here, and I select a cell in my table, I will see two tabs, the table design and the query tab. And both of these have a refresh button. I can also get to this refresh tool by right-clicking a cell in the table and choosing refresh here. Now, what does this do? This basically runs the whole query again. It's going to mirror the content in the folder. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh. And bingo, in seconds, like I don't even know if that was a second, I have data from the new file. And if I look in my source name, it doesn't include the Excel file, it only includes the CSV file and my email column. Everything has a value, and they didn't bring in any of the empty emails. So cool, right? Now, something I said that's really important to keep in mind is that this data set here, when I refresh, it's going to mirror whatever files are in this folder that I'm querying from. So if I remove something from this folder and I refresh my query, they're also going to be removed there. So let's go ahead and do that and remove those two files that I just took. And when I requery this, they disappear again. So this is a mirroring tool. You have to keep everything in the folder if you want it in your query. Such a powerful tool. Give it a try.